to Raid Time. This is the third episode I've put up. We're gonna do things a little bit differently today. Usually I start out by going out into the wild, already ready. This time I've just gotten back from a trip. Kate was my support on that one, along with the EXO 1 suit of armor. As you can see, we went through a little bit of hell there. Today I'm gonna show you guys how I get ready for these raids. So first I start by storing all my junk. It's really hard to walk with all that. This is my main and primary uh, spot, I guess, my primary location. I store everything that I don't need on my missions here. Got some good scores, not too terribly much, but some good scores. Main stuff I'm looking for are stuff like these: recoil compensated, calibrated, powerful. All those words that film on there means that it already had things done to it before I found it. And what this means for me is that it would have a lot more scrap whenever I go to editing my weaponry. Right now I'm just storing anything that I'd like to keep. And I think that's it for the safe. My safe is different from most storage containers because this is where I keep all of my best stuff. We got an irradiated rocket launcher, quad barrel, silencer, or a stabilizer to stop the recoil. Arvate was probably no, this was the first weapon I ever fixed up fully. Came in really handy. And then I started getting better and better weapons. The star weapons are now primarily what I use. Stuff I've gotten from legendary folks, like Arrivederci here. And then there's some that I've just never used and I wanted to fix up for the hell of it, like December's Child or Blank. Which that's actually a reference to an anime I've watched called No Game No Life. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Very intellectual, very good. About 12 episodes. But back to Fallout. Another rocket launcher. I have plenty of those. Mines. Got that from the Swan. It's really heavy, so I don't carry it around much. Plus, I don't do much melee combat. That's Grim. My nuke. There's nothing special about it either. But I figure a badass weapon should have a badass name. And just continuing going down the list, there's more and more things I've acquired. I have 9 missile launchers in here. I'm gonna take those actually. A nuke line. This was the shish kebab I had before the oh so famous. Not really, it's not that famous, but before I came across my Fury shish kebab here, which I need to name. I think I'll do that on today's episode. So, next we store all the things that we're not going to be necessarily scrapping today. Things like my Fat Man, which I have 5 of. Pretty much anything over 100 caps in value, I keep. And then I fix up on it later to bring in more caps. And so on and so forth. That's just kind of the strategy I've obtained. You take the Raider stuff, you make it better, and then you sell it to everyone else. You never really get entirely what it's worth, but, you know, every little bit counts. So one thing you should notice is that I am not in power armor. You cannot do any of the crafting in power armor, so it's best to go ahead and get out of that before you start.
Wow, that doesn't look that
This is Frosted Flakes here. Very, very strong gun with 168 damage. All of the mods are complete from the barrel down to the sight. I didn't want to put a reflex recon scope on a pistol. It didn't seem like it made any logical sense to me, so I went ahead and stuck with the reflex sight. But if you think that the recon sight and the accuracy bonus would help you, then by all means go for it. This I shall name, and now I think I'm going to name it Satan's Cane. As well as my God's Rifle, which I'll be fixing up and showing you what goes for what. I think I'm just going to name you gods. So this is a standard Gauss rifle, all except for the capacitor boosting coils, which is the best that you can get. It increases the damage and the ammo capacity. Um, if you look over at the requirements there, everything needs adhesive. Most things need aluminum. For anything scientific, weaponry styled, you're going to need things like nuclear material, springs. All weapon mods need screws, and this is where these come in. Square, and you'll see that you get screws, gears, aluminum, cork, copper, rubber, and steel. Now, aluminum, steel, and screws are all pretty much necessities. I've run out of gears sometimes, but not often, but aluminum is probably what I lack more than anything. And 4 aluminum is amazing. That means that this one gun is worth the same as 2 surgical trays. It's worth 4 aluminum cans. You can see how it can benefit you to pick this up when you're out in your travels. People who would also have this are low raiders um, and super mutants. Those are the people you'd run into for something like this. Gunners, trappers, they all tend to have a bit better weapons, and they won't drop things like this easily. Also, these weapons can be found just randomly out in the ways, in the Commonwealth. Just, look around, or be by a container or something of that nature. Grab that. Not all of them have these things. As you can see, this pipe pistol that hasn't been upgraded at all does not, but it's still good for screws, steel, especially steel. Steel comes in really handy because you don't just use that for weapon mods. Be careful not to scrap your favorites. That's never a good idea. Can't get them back afterwards. So there's that. See, this one gives you 6 aluminum. Too good. It's like Christmas around here. I favorite my weapons so that they're easier to get to both in battle and so that you can keep an eye on them whenever you're doing upgrades. Now let's upgrade that Gauss rifle. I'm going to start by making it a shielded barrel. I easily have the materials to make this if you just look over to the requirements. And then it pops up here. Now, the things that usually get me here is the aluminum. As you can see, this takes 15 aluminum and 10 lead. So, the adhesive isn't much of a problem here. It takes like 2 things of adhesive. But the aluminum, that becomes a real problem really fast. Recoiling, compensating stock makes the recoil a lot less, so you can fire more shots in a row, and increases the accuracy. With this rifle, the last time I upgraded this, I didn't save my progress, that's why I have to do it again. I got the long recon scope for added accuracy. And if you want a rifle, this would probably be your best bet. Long range, really good scope, has a lot of modifications over there, tracks targets. The only thing about this is that not only do you need a gun nut 4 perk, you also need a lot of material. For example, I need the 8 aluminum, 4 circuitry, 6 crystals, 4 fiber optics. And the easiest way I've found to find fiber optics is, one, you can recycle Institute weaponry. That'll give you fiber optics if it's advanced enough. Or you could disarm laser tripwires. And that's also a really good way to get it. I think you get 1 for every one you disarm. Sneaking into places that have really high tech, like, for example, anywhere that Institute Synths may be, anywhere the Brotherhood is, Gunners usually have some pretty good stuff in that regards. Those are the people you're going to want to look to for stuff like that. And for the muzzle, I believe I'm going to go with a suppressor. And there you have it, folks. Gauss is now completely upgraded. I know he doesn't take a lot, but if you look over at his damage, you'll see why I wanted him. Now, comparing him to Frosted Flakes, that's a bit... 25 more points of damage there. And comparing him to my other sniper rifle, or what I was using, comparing him to what I was using last, I think he'll make for a much better shot. Also think I'm going to lighten this load a bit, and take a few new weapons with me. Maybe we can fix up on some of them. So I'll be putting back my limitless this time. I absolutely despise when that happens. Okay. So I've seemed to have taken all my stuff. And there's not really much you can do when doing that. Except just going down the list, putting it all back. Another great reason to keep the stars by what you intend to, or the hearts by what you intend to keep. That way you can just go down the list. think I'm gonna put back the cane. Now that I'm finished with that, I usually come over here and see if there's anything I can do to my armor to make it any better. However, since my last trip, I believe that I had... Oh, there we are. Never know what you might miss. I'm actually looking for a synth left leg to replace this one. I just haven't had any luck in finding one yet. Best armor you can get in the game right here, folks. This is Acadia's Shield, and I gotta say, I just haven't seen anything that can stand up to something like that yet. Now, whether or not I'm just not far enough stands to opinion. Now I'm gonna go over here, and this is where I keep my better weaponry. Everything in here is legendary. I got from a legendary this or a legendary that. I'm gonna go through here and see what we can find. Hmm. Well, it seems in there is nothing in here that has piqued my fancy. I thought that this could be modified, but I guess not.
There's
So
Brotherhood,
today,
then there's everything else.
I'll be going with the standard. And there you go.
Nothing in between.
Now I'm gonna go fix up on this suit. As you can see, power armors also take aluminum to fit. What's up, bro? No, I've increased all of these suits to have the best armor requirements. I've also given them all military paint in order to improve their strength and give them more carrying capacity, as well as I've improved the legs to have calibrated shocks, which also increase carrying capacity, and the body is motion assisted servos, which increases strength. So, altogether, this is probably my strongest suit. I've spared no expense with carrying capacity on this. So, I believe that this will be the suit I'll use for my companions most of the time. I'm trying to find one that Kate can't break yet, considering that the last two I put her in, she's, well, she either doesn't have both of her legs or an arm. Very, very rarely does she lose her body, though, so at least there's that. My apologies, I couldn't get any air there for a moment. Now then. The last step is pretty much any and all uh,
I don't mind if I put it on for some excitement.
raid time trips when in preparation is your aid. Now, I don't take a lot of aid myself because I don't really get into too much when I go out. However, the more beginner you are, the closer to the beginning, or just the easier you want things, you can bring different things along with you. Like, I have, personally, 13 Nuka-Cola Quantums, 23 Radaways, 15 refreshing beverages, which gives you 500 HP and takes away all of your rads. 137 stim packs. And a few syringes. On top of that, I also have 26 jet. Yeah. I used to have more psycho, but now I don't. But this is basically... Oh, there's my psycho. Psycho jet is my drug of choice. It's psycho plus jet, really simple, pretty easy to make. And then I don't run out of jet often, so that works in my favor. More or less, I only take things that are going to increase my strength, so that if I do become over encumbered, I can still fast travel, or at least make it to the exit. Things that increase my health, and food. Now, this is more of a preparation for survival mode than anything else. I don't like being over encumbered, and in survival mode, everything has weight, which to me sounds just terrifying, but, well, no, I guess that's just me. Also, the food usually will give you some type of benefit, so that's always good to have. And my Alert Queen steaks are not only very, very nutritious as far as increasing your health, but they increase your endurance by 2, which comes in handy in a tight spot. Vegetable starch is probably the best adhesive you could have. It's not hard to make, just hey, some corn, plant some nut fruit, have a water source, and some potato, and you're good. You have an infinite supply of adhesive for yourself there. I'm gonna store the junk, which at this point would probably just be the adhesive, and then I'm going to come over here. I use this filing cabinet as a refrigerator. Food doesn't really go bad in the game. I'm perfectly okay with that. And I just store all of the food that I'm not gonna eat. I put my liquor in the medicine cabinet just so it's all in the same spot. It makes things easier. Now, as you can see, my weight has severely decreased. This is my room. I'm not in here often. I have the power armor waiting out front for the companion that I'm going to choose to take. Probably going to be Kate.
You hear about that farm run by ghouls?
But first, I need to pick out my own suit of power armor.
Another
So,
day of hard work. Never changes.
here, I have... Nice fade, Bubba. Nice fade. This is where I keep all the pieces to my power armor so that I do not lose them. They're also, interchangeable. My Tesla armor here adds power damage, which really comes in handy with Sparky J. My Brotherhood armor for any Brotherhood missions I may come across. I have this Raider suit that I made and spruced up. Most of the pieces on this suit are T60, besides the head, and they've been reinforced titanium, except for that arm there. And I still have another arm I'm just waiting to put on. I don't feel like doing that yet. I also have to fix up on this one. I'll probably make a video about all the power armor suits I have and the differences between them at some point, and which goes for what. However, for this particular raid time, I think I'm gonna find my original. Now, this is easier to do because that little thing pops up, tells you where it's at, and you just gotta search for it. So this means that my armor is around here somewhere.
I
do
feel
believe.
better. You have my back.
Just gotta do a little searching now. I usually leave it here when I'm not using it, so the fact that it isn't there disgruntles me a tad bit. However, it's nothing I can't overcome.
Oh, yeah? You gotta take things one day at a time.
My back hurts, my feet hurt, everything hurts.
Unless I'm not mistaken, I thought I had left this at the back in the Slayer. It might just be where I have all my other suits. Which, as an update, I will be moving my base of operations from the Red Rocket, which is simply where I'm going to start storing my companions, to the Mechanist Lair, which is where I'm going to be storing my things. And as such, I should probably set up a trade route between the two. Seems I can't make a
that's out of reach.
Stupid fight. Okay. Now that I've established all of this, I can go get my armor. I actually own that gun as well. It's not bad. It's got me out of a few predicaments. However, it's not very accurate. It gets kind of hard to aim. And the damage is energy, so it doesn't affect all things the best. I've found that guns work the best on most things, besides like a Meyer Lake Lurk shell or a Queen Lake Lurk
Do you
or
have a minute?
Meyer Lurk. I never put her in her armor, did I? Oh well.
Heads up.
Wait, I'd still like to have that talk. Do you have time now?
I noticed.
What's on your mind?
I've been thinking about this for a long time. Just try to bear with me.
You're a
This
twink,
isn't
Cody.
easy for me to say, and I want to get it right.
I don't fight twinks, they might try and rape me.
Did you know I spent 3 years fighting at the combat zone? 3 years of getting beaten to hell by a bunch of losers and
Rapist.
lunatics. After the matches were over, I'd spit out the blood, stitch me wounds, and do a couple of shots of Psycho to keep me going. I fucking hated it. I hated the crowds, I hated the other fighters, and I hated myself. I never understood why I put myself through all that. Until now. It was because I was alone. And I think deep down, I wanted to die. I wanted one of my opponents to crush the life out of me. The easy way out.
I understand.
I don't think I'm being clear with you. I've never been good with these things. My life's been nothing but one huge failure after another. You've heard all my stories, and you know the prices I've paid. There were a few times when things got really bad, but I found myself staring down the barrel of my own shotgun. I don't know why I didn't pull the trigger. I guess I was praying that I could find a single decent scrap of humanity in this fucked up world. And then, what you did for me back there at Vault 95, it was like the answer to those prayers. That's the first time in my life I fully depended on someone else, and they didn't let me down. God damn it, I'm making a mess of this.
It's all right, Kate. Let it all out.
I'll be fine. I just need to be getting to the point. The longer we've been spending time together, the more I'm beginning to realize what you mean to me. And I'm not just talking about you watching me back or sharing a drink together. I mean more than that. Before we met, I'd never let me guard down around anyone. I didn't dare. But with you, I feel like I can let you in and see me for everything that I am. For better or for worse. Look, I can't go back to the way things were before we met. I won't. But what I need you to do is look me in the eyes and tell me you feel something too.
Of course I do. I'm in love with you, Kate.
You're what? You said you're in love with me. I didn't know. I mean, I felt something between us, but I thought it was something else. Why? Why would you fall in love with someone as screwed up as I am?
To tell you the truth, we're both a little screwed up. Perfect men for one another.
I can't argue with that. This has to be the first time I put all my cards on the table and didn't end up losing anything. You don't know how much this means to me. To have someone special in my life. I promise you. I mean to make the most of it.
Cool, got a perk. He's in love with me. I'm just gonna go check the back room in my lair here. This is where I'll be moving all my stuff to one of these days, just as I thought. A little patch job here. Did we go? What I like about power armor is that not only does it increase your carrying capacity tremendously, but it allows you to go further longer. With raid time, this is something that comes in especially useful because a lot of the time I can't do things like this when not in power armor. And I'll end up dying multiple times, yada yada. Now for the very last step. Look, that took all night and 45 minutes. For the last step, simply command your partner. Get in the final suit of armor there. And you're ready to go. So today our target is going to be this here charter school. We'll first travel to the Quincy Quarries and see what's good there. Looks like we have some excitement already.
Get some, motherfucker!
Well, fuck you too, then. That shot was from Frosted Flakes. That's sayonara. Or, as the Japanese would say, sayonara. This is Venge. Got to love the drum barrel. And just what we're looking for. Some nice pipe weaponry.
That's it. Good idea.
I kinda don't like how Kate just runs off without me. Like, I like settling things in time. I don't want to The mysterious stranger usually comes in a fitch. Seems in this fight the Brotherhood came to help me out, which I appreciate. Thank you, Brotherhood. But it's hardly over yet. If I'm not mistaken, there should be more people outside. And if not, this place is free to loot. It's places like that you're really going to want to keep an eye out for. Anything that's a tool case, anything that looks like it may keep tools in it, is a good place to find pipe weaponry. Also, if you ever run short on leather, raiders are a good place to find that because you can scrap their armor, and it makes for good leather scrappings. I usually grab things that I don't particularly need because being careful all the time is kind of a drag, and I'll just drop it later. I mean, it's only going to weigh you down for so long before eventually you just give it up. Anytime I see a new location, I try and check out what it is or what it was. You never really know when something interesting might pop up. It's actually how I ran into Swan for the first time. Jetpacks are the way of the future. Well, looks like that's all of them. Alright guys, I'm gonna start collecting stuff. Thanks for watching another edition of Raid Time. Make sure to tune in for the next one. We'll be sure to get to that charter school.